It's your girl Nari, and you're listening to She Speaks, the podcast, featuring spoken word poetry on a variety of social conversations. Welcome to episode 5. I originally made this podcast purely to have an outlet for my writing, but the moment I pressed that upload button, something triggered inside of me, and I found myself eagerly expectant for reaction and for connection. Of course, expectations always fall short, and that made me start to doubt and question why I started in the first place. After all, there's so many better qualified and actually talented artists who should run a podcast before me. As I went to bed with such rumination and creating chaos in my head, I came up with this next piece, and sure enough, it was a therapy I need to sort out the mess in my mind, reminding me of why I started this podcast in the first place. I hope you enjoy it. It's called Comparison is Debilitating. Here it goes.
Comparison is debilitating, stopping your tracks before any traction, a balloon with but one breath before it deflates, a tire that leaves no tracks. You belittle your flame, claiming passion naive, and berate your dreams, 'cause really, it's all been done before, and better at that. Your shoulders argue back and forth, but it's just for me, I'm doing it for me, she pleads. Does a falling tree really make a sound if it goes unheard? Her mirror retorts rhetorically, pseudo-intellectually. She caves and crumples into herself, a sad lump in the pit of the gut, rotting, until what's left is nothing but junk, begging to be trashed. So what does one do but swallow hope and turn back around? The path looks too narrow, too crowded, no light can be found. Thus snuffing out what could have been, for failure's not an option without a chance. Surrounded by better, more skilled, natural talents and honed practice abound, what's the point of drowning in the ocean as but a drop? Better to bury and try to forget, better than nursing a heart that was set. She finds herself thinking of days long past, imagining the girl who could conquer the world, unfettered by fears collected through scars, bursting with hope, unhindered by bars. Her arms unfurled, beckoning all possibilities, hopes and dreams, limitless. As lips' corners start to turn up, the daydream suddenly bursts. Winded by waves of a cynic's reality, flooded and resigned to the fate that's been so carefully crafted by that girl in the mirror who smirks then smothers all light from you. Held captive too long, you long for that cloak of familiar comfort, the fibers composed of self-doubt and jealousy, wishing you were successful like he, as smart as she. Comparison fills a mind with cant. Comparison is debilitating.
That one's called Comparison is Debilitating. In the poem, I reference the work of philosopher George Berkeley that poses the question whether the existence of things is entirely dependent on its being perceived, or at least the capacity to be perceived. Let's take poetry, for example. Poetry is an expression, and an expression is the mode of revealing inner thoughts and feelings to make them known. So then, if no one receives the expression, can it really be called poetry? In other words, what good is poetry if not shared? It can't merely exist, it thrives to live. What do you think? I'd love to carry on this conversation in the comments, or you can email me at shespeaksspokenword@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram. My handle is @shespeaksspokenword. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening, truly. If you like what you heard, be sure to rate and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. My name is Nari, and you've been listening to She Speaks. Come on back next week for a brand new piece.